What's poppin', beautiful people up in YouTube land? I put the 3G value, you feel me? In this video here, sneaker collabs are dead by Jacques Slade. Now I want to see what he got to talk about on this one, because I mean, how is it dead? I mean, I feel like it's only the beginning. But let me start rambling. Let's get into it.
Sneaker collabs are dead.
You know, what makes a bad sneaker collab? I think, to me, it's pretty evident.
What do I not like about sneaker collabs?
But it kind of make you wonder, like, who okayed this?
When I think about collabs that maybe aren't my favorite.
Granted, I mean, the oversaturation of sneaker collabs is getting out of hand.
Or aren't as great.
What makes a bad sneaker collaboration? Let's play a game. If I asked you what was the best sneaker collab in the last few years, what would you say?
I say wait, Union.
Don't answer yet. I want you to actually think about why you think that shoe was the best sneaker collab in the last few years and not just go on hype. That's a lot harder, isn't it? Over the last few months, I've seen a bunch of different...
Nah, I think it's the Unions, because in the sense of the way they did it, it's like play on two iconic ones, and then they just finessed it so beautifully. I just finished talking about that in the video I was just watching Brianna.
Sneaker collabs, and in my mind, I started to question what makes this one so much better than this one. So my thought was, let's just go through the collection that I have here in this room and rank them by collaboration. And I started to try to put together a certain criteria to determine how I would do those rankings, and it was actually a lot harder than I expected. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. But I want you to start thinking about what makes a sneaker collab good versus what makes a sneaker collab bad.
I think that as long as the brand that is collaborating with the other brand stays true to their aesthetic, then you can't really go wrong. Like, one of my favorite collabs in recent years is probably the Union Jordan 1s. I think they did such a good job. It's a really beautiful shoe, and I wear it all the time, and I always get compliments on it. I love it when people have fun with their collaborations. They don't take themselves too seriously, and they still stay true to the aesthetic of their brand.
So you ask anyone in recent years about a sneaker collaboration, and they will no doubt bring up this one. This is the Union Air Jordan 1.
My favorite is the blue ones, but those is OD too. Oh my god.
In comparison to other collabs, there really isn't that much about it that is unique or stands out. Honestly, it's literally just...
just because you have it in your head. Fuck out of here. Give me that shit then, nigga, if you don't like it.
Particularly special, at least on the outside.
Talking shit, give me the sneaker. Give me it. You like 11. Give me that.
Sort of palpable
on your sneaker, nigga.
Full hype in the air. And this is one of those instances where it isn't necessarily about the way that the sneaker looks, but I think it's more about the concept of the sneaker, and that is what resonated with the public. The story behind the shoe is taking an old Jordan 1 and putting it together with another shoe so you have a complete pair and stitching them together. But why did that connect with sneakerheads? My first thought is because it touches on nostalgia, the nostalgia factor that we all have for sneakers. Many of us that are in love with sneakers today are in love with sneakers because we couldn't afford them when we were younger.
Yep.
That drive and that need to, I guess, in a sense, compensate from when we were young is enough of a driver to get us to buy a product as an adult. Union, in their own way, was able to tap into that need. They connected the dots, in a sense, and made a collaboration that stands out in the sea of crazy collabs that we seemingly see every week.
What makes a dope sneaker collab for me is something that's authentic and executed perfectly. I think when you have both those things, sky's the limit into what both sides can create. And then obviously you factor in all the bells and whistles in terms of marketing and storytelling and the way, you know, you're going to build that hype for your targeted audience.
So I think the Sean Witherspoons would probably be the next. I think it would be, for me, it would be the Unions, the Sean Witherspoons, and then Travis Scott's. Those would be my top three of the best collab of this decade, I would say. And then the Travis Scott 1, 6 is 2. I don't know. The ones.
Very few companies have been able to create a cult-like following the way
Sixes
that
is so
Disney
fire
has.
too. Oh my
They
god.
are one of the best, if not the best, when it comes to telling stories, especially stories that we connect to as kids. Knowing that sneaker culture is rooted in storytelling, the latest collaboration from Disney and Reebok and
Oh,
Bape
those are
and
hard.
Toy
I need
Story
those.
pairs
I need those.
takes it all.
Yeah, I need those. I need to add those to my Insta Pump collection. If you don't know, now you know, bro. I got tons of Insta Pumps, bro. It's one of my favorite sneakers of all time.
Opposite approach to the Union Jordan 1. The story of this pair is literally written all over the shoes. Pixar's Toy Story is something that we can all relate to in one way or another. It is instantly recognizable, and the two characters on the shoes have become household names. Instead of just making or doing a colorway or adding a name, they actually took things to the next level and molded the shoes after the most prominent characters in the movie. By taking that approach, they speak to
Is that 3M on the toe?
duality of the shoes as well.
Fun fact about Insta Pumps. The same person that made them sneakers is helping Kanye out now, Steven Smith.
As performance running
yeah,
shoes,
niggas know.
they also played a role as a lifestyle icon when they were released. And to make things even further, they made material choices on the upper of the shoes that continue that story. Now, is this a collaboration for everyone? No.
No.
I would say not at all. But that isn't a bad thing. You have to know your audience. Bape was smart enough to know that this wasn't going to get the hype beast all excited, but the Disney crowd, they were gonna love it. If some sneakerheads got into it, that's great, but if not, that isn't really who this pair was made for.
Man, they, bro, the niggas, this shit sold out anyway. Like, it don't matter what it was for. Nigga, the resellers is gonna take it, bro. It's money to be made.
Top it off, the brand followed up the release with the pair dedicated to the army men in the movie. Now, I imagine that most kids have either seen or played with those toys at some point, and they took the collab all the way with the colors and the materials. Again, telling a story, or Toy Story, if you will.
Those ones is okay. I need the Tom and Jerry ones too. The Insta Pumps.
What makes a good sneaker collab? You know, for me, it's 3 parts. Understanding, you know, your DNA and your heritage personally, and then your collaborative partners. I think is super essential to understanding, you know, what you can do and where you're going. And I think 2 is, you know, being able to convey your story clearly, where someone can understand what you were trying to feel. But ultimately, you want that story to be, you know, interpreted however, you know, that brand fan or that follower, that consumer, you know, perceives it. And I think lastly is really making people feel something, you know, that type of emotion, or uncovering that feeling and connection of what you're trying to do.
Another element of a good collaboration is the bringing together.
Oh, this Levi's is
stories,
pretty cool.
Or in this case, bringing together 2 legacies. With this collab between Jordan Brand and Levi's, it made sense because it brought together 2 brands that
Like when
really
homie
complement each
distressed
other. It wasn't
those.
just one-sided.
The dude that made that
Levi's
poppin' was
obviously
distressing
has
them.
a legacy of its
OD.
own, and so does Jordan Brand, and that is why this one worked. But I think it was actually a little more than that as well. When you think about the 2 brands, when you think about how they are connected, it all makes sense. Michael Jordan is obviously known for wearing a ton of denim. Not particularly well, but he wears a lot of denim. When you think about denim,
I'm
there's
calling on my
not
son,
any
feel me?
other company that comes to mind that has the respect, the history, and the story that Levi's has. Pair that with one of, if not the most recognizable sneaker brand in the world, and you have something meaningful that will resonate with the consumer on a level that a collab with a new denim brand just wouldn't provide. And that is not to say that there aren't other dope denim brands out there that are doing incredible work. A lot of times people ask, why didn't Jordan Brand align with this brand or with that brand? And they seemingly take offense to it. But from my perspective, it isn't a strike against you if the brand doesn't work with you. It's more of
You know what's the sad thing about this? If this wasn't Levi's on the branding, I don't think that many people would have got it, because the Sixes just dropped. Nobody copped those.
story alignment. What story is the brand trying to tell?
And the
Which
Sixes
brand
is
out
alright,
there
though. They
best
alright.
conveys that story in a way that will connect with the consumer.
What I think makes a great sneaker collab is really starting with the story behind the shoe and how that relates back to you in your life. So for me, I might be looking for a collab that has to do with the city that I live in, or has to do with my favorite sport, basketball, or different foods. I really like to cook, so things that relate to food really work for me. It might even be something that's more nostalgic or telling people about your past, like old cartoons and TV shows. at the end of the day, your personal style is really a way to tell people more about yourself. And so for me, if I can wear my favorite sneaker brands and then give you a little bit more insight on who I am, that's really a great collab in my mind.
Another great way collabs come together is not necessarily by story strictly, but perspective. Like many of you, I'm a huge video game fan. From retro games to the latest season of Fortnite, my love for gaming is strong, and I know I'm not the only one. For years, sneaker brands have been tapping into the world of video games to connect with the world of sneakers, and to be fair, those stories don't always line up. But what does line up is the connection those two products have made with the consumer. Take, for instance, Xbox and the PlayStation. For the most part, these two systems do just about the exact same thing. Yes, they have their separate individual games, but I would say 95% of what these systems do is pretty much identical. But that hasn't stopped a segment of gamers from pledging their allegiance to one or the other.
That's the PlayStation.
Now, if you're in the sneaker world, you know that same dynamic exists between brands, warranted or not. And the other factor is that people that grew up playing video games as a major part of their lives are now fully functioning adults with disposable income. Connect those two things together and you have the making of another great collaboration in my mind. These stories of those products may not be the same, but they both have an integral part in the life of the consumer. As the world of sneakers continues to get larger, there is a need to continue the way perspectives are told and shared through product collaboration. Like this. It isn't fancy. It's not the most bold way to express your perspective, but it
gets the job done.
Brands and brand collaborators
see that blue on there?
When they can go all out and when they have to pull back. If they've done their research and follow their instincts, you should be able to walk away with a product that actually reaches a bigger audience.
I think
simplicity is key to certain time.
Brands partner with artists, designers, culture creators, and culture curators to produce the best story, have the best connection, and above all, bring both of their audiences together to create something totally unique.
The thing about collabs in the current world is that they're changing. Jumping back to like this shoe, the Fragment Jordan 1. Many people see this as
went crazy for that.
I would say the pinnacle releases when it comes to collaboration.
I know it was crazy for Fragment ones.
Complicated, it's not overly done, and by most accounts,
I mean, I like them, but like I'm not like to die.
If you aren't in the know, you may not even know that this is a collaboration. I've heard many people comment on my Instagram that they like my blue Jordan 1. And that leads me to the other factor in the world of collabs, and that's the deep cuts into the culture. While the Jordan 1 is obviously as close as you can get to a household name, Fragment Designs is not. In fact, I'd even argue that most sneakerheads aren't in the know when it comes to the work that Hiroshi Fujiwara has done. But Jacques, I thought the culture and the communities need to understand everything for it to be a successful collaboration.
No.
Well, in most cases, I would say that is true, but there was something unique about this collaboration that breaks.
Because with collabs, like if it works, you start putting people on. Because like sometimes a collab, it'll be a collab and that you be dead, and then years down the line, niggas be like, yo, I remember when it was dropping, and the volume of them shits go up. People start seeing like how really fire they are.
Sometimes collabs come from those that are passionate about the product and know it in a way in and out. In this case, Fragment Designs had an intimate knowledge of the Air Jordan 1 and the colorways of the shoe. Through this love for the shoe, Hiroshi was able to elicit an emotional attachment to a shoe through just something as simple as the color blocking and color choices on the shoe. Now, while it seems easy to do, there have been plenty of colors on the Air Jordan 1 that don't get the same sort of treatment from the sneaker community. I mean, some will say it is the Fragment logo on the heel, but I believe if you look a little deeper, you'll see that it's more than that.
The goal should be for brands to seek out these artists, designers, and culture creators in the most unique places possible. And it's not necessarily somebody with a large following. It's just somebody that's hitting a nerve that the brand itself can't hit.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key to making a great sneaker collab.
That's why Travis Scott is so successful. Because I mean, people say, oh yeah, I mean, he's like the biggest name, but like he really take time to like put out a shoe, put out a product that him as a kid would have wanted to make. Feel me? So
And
I agree with him 110%.
I'm one of those people.
In most cases, it's a
Get
combination.
your name
of
out there. I
things that
heard
make
you.
a
I heard you,
collaboration
bro.
work. It can be as simple as adding a nice colorway of a shoe, or as complicated as taking the look and feel of an object or person and translating that through materials and color choices. There isn't a right answer when it comes to making a successful collab, but if you look at the collabs that work, you will often see a deep-rooted passion,
So
knowledge,
beautiful.
and understanding of both sides that's required in order to make things work. Throwing your name or your logo on a shoe isn't enough to make.
Oh, I seen somebody with the unions like a few months back when like shit was, working, when the world was actually working. Bro, like I had the worst fit on with those, boy.
Feel a certain kind of way. Using a popular model isn't enough to make your brand cool or give off the emotion needed to curry favor with the sneaker community.
Hate when I see
You
people
need to
with
look
bad
deeper. You need to
feet.
make
I mean,
a
bad
connection.
fits
You
with
need to tell
good
a
feet.
story that's
Like,
relatable. You need to have a distinct perspective. You need to speak the language of the consumer and create something that makes both sides better. There are obviously a lot more collabs that work outside of the few that I've shown here, and I'd actually like to know what are some of your favorite collabs and why you think that work. This isn't about saying sneaker collabs are dead or no one cares about sneaker collabs anymore.
you just want to
This
raise
is
the
really
bar.
about helping people
Clickbait.
understand
I see
why
what you
things
did
work.
there.
Anyways, those are my thoughts. Leaving your thoughts below, and I'll see you next time.
Cause you definitely got me. I'm like, what the fuck you talking about, bro? It's just only the beginning. But I mean, I think my favorite. Oh yeah, I think I already said it, bro. It's the Travis Scott's, the Unions, and I always say the Sean Witherspoons. But it's your boy G. I'm up and out of here. Peace.